Okay, cool, perfect.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the New York State People webinar series titled Criticality, Diversity, and Multimodality. My name is Qing Lin. I'm the president of New York State TESOL. On behalf of the organization, I want to welcome everyone and hope everyone is safe and sound no matter where you are. So in case you are not yet a member of New York State TESOL, please, or you don't know much about the New York TESOL, let me tell you a little bit about our organization. It is a nonprofit organization that serves TESOL professionals throughout the New York State. But as an organization committed to growth and community building, we aspire to connect with like-minded friends around the world as well. So please consider joining us. Our webinar today is titled, give me 1 minute to find it. The information is titled Writing Hurts, How a Process of Writing Can Guide Us Through Inclusivity, Healing, and Humanization. Our speaker today is Ethan Trin. So I'm going to leave it to you to read Ethan's biography, brief biographical statement on the website. But I just want to add that Ethan is very active in Georgia TESOL and TESOL International. Ethan is a recipient of TESOL's Leadership and Mentoring Program Award this year. So congratulations, Ethan.
Yeah,
yes, so I'm very pleased to have Ethan with us today, and I want to tell you a little bit about the big stage story. So I didn't know Ethan previously. What happened is I was posting a question relating to the gender pronoun on the Facebook, and many people told me that you need to read Ethan's work. So I looked up Ethan's work, and I was blown away. You know, it was so beautiful, authentic, and creative. So it speaks to the heart of this webinar series. But somehow it find a way to find a tangible way to explore the complexity and intersection of these three dimensions. So that's my brief introduction. So thank you, Ethan. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jing. So if everyone is in this space, I also pasted the link to the PowerPoint so everyone can join with me in this discussion. And I'm going to share the link with everyone, and I am going to share my screen as well, so everyone can see my screen, right? Yep, thumbs up. Okay, cool. Yep, thank you, everyone. So this is my so actually I've never I think I am kind of like, when we talk about writing, I'm freaked out. I am a procrastinator, and I, to be honest, don't know how to write academically well. And then when I come to teaching writing to students, even like with the students right now, I truly encourage the student to be creative, but also authentic to themselves. So when I got the invitation from New York State TESOL, and that is where I actually get stuck in my writing, I have not come back to my writing for 2 months. And you know, like in academia, like, I don't know, it's just been like very struggling, very difficult, very challenging. So I come up with this, the title of the presentation today, and I hope that everyone can join me to co-think with me. Writing hurts, how a process of writing guides us toward inclusivity, healing, and humanization. So my name is Ethan Trin, and I use they, them as my pronoun. And then it is the writing agenda. And then I think I put the question mark at the end because I'm not really sure if we follow the agenda, but at least we should have something, right? So I have who, what is with us in the space and time. And then we can think with words, think with the process, write it out, share out loud, what can you do with the process in our times and space. And then if, because we're in Zoom, if you wanna have any ideas or any contribution, please raise your hand. If not, please put your message in the chat so that I can see it. And then I can talk about that, mention that too. During the process, if you feel like anything that you feel very uncomfortable, feel free to step out. And then, I want to show the respect to everyone in this space. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready. Hold on first. Yeah. I am going to.
I would like to ask everyone to mute yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, so first and foremost, there is the questions that I've been thinking about. So I would love everyone to join me to think with this. So who or what is with us in this space and time? So this space is not about myself, definitely. But I want to think about so this space, who is or what is this space constructed by? So I have, an idea over there. So I hope everyone can join me to feeling, the bullet point. So the space is co-constructed by, if everyone can type in, even in the chat or even directly to the PowerPoint, I would really appreciate that.
I'm out.
Nice. Please don't be shy, just put it in and then we can read out loud about that. I'm not sure what you're expecting actually. Yeah, no, not at all. I really want to, when we talk about co-constructed by who or what, I think we talk about authentic self, right? So whoever or whatever you identified yourself right now at this moment, at this space, at this time, that is perfect. And I don't know if you can see my face smiling, but I am smiling. I have two screens in my, at my desktop. So, okay. General education and teaching to students in different languages in our classroom. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, I can. I'm gonna put it down here a little bit. Okay. We good? Okay, let me read it. So this space is co-constructed by a struggling writer. I'm perpetually truth seeker, okay? An anxious puppy daddy and supportive friend interested in books. Yep. A perpetual learner trying to share her gifts with the world. A writer, teacher, learner, researcher, dreamer, and poet. Yep. Other voices. A brave woman who loves challenges. A passionate educator. A former professional writer and editor turned EL teacher. A teacher, an immigrant woman, a reluctant writer. A general education elementary teacher teaching to students with 9 different languages in our classroom. So this space embraces different identities. Okay. So this space is co-constructed for who? I think that is the next question. This space is co-constructed for who? For which population that we think after you leave this space? Hmm, that's very nice. That's very nice. Okay. I love that. I love that. I love the way that you put it there because it's very authentic. It is the way that we all been struggling. Um, this space is co-constructed for anyone who needs to write something for others. It is space for international students, immigrant and refugee students, TESOL colleagues, those who are frozen, scared, and confused when they encounter a blank page or a prompt. Okay, when I'm reading it, I have a goosebump, to be honest with you. Um, People looking to find their voice, who care to listen. TESOL friends and colleagues, everyone, writing is painful for all, but it can also be healing and liberating for all who have a story to share and those who have things to say. And people, person who love teaching. I found myself in all of the words that you just say because I myself, a writer, a TESOLer, a researcher, a queer person, but also encounter a lot of pain and struggles and frustration in my writing. So seems to me that my identities are scattered to everyone in this room and space. Um, okay, and then the last question. This space is a collective space too. To do what? To do what? To reassure and guide. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Perfect. As a facilitator of this presentation of this workshop, this conversation, whatever you call it, when I see, the words, the lies uh, coming out in the PowerPoint, it is very, is a healing person. It is, I think like it is very emotional to me, but also it is very therapeutic, when I see the collectiveness in the space where everyone come together. So this space is a collective space to explore and share, reassure that you are good and guide toward more help. I'm gonna copy and paste some one here. Okay. Um, Put it here. Hold up for a second. Okay. To reassure that you are good and guide toward more help, hear more other people less frustrated and scared, reflect and be thoughtful and understanding, overcome writing block, to collaborate, maybe to challenge our biases and allow for openness and acceptance, to connect, to discover why we write despite the difficulty, understand how to support students and motivate them to write, empower writers to authentically express themselves in their journey, to support each other through our community. That is beautiful And that is wonderful. And I appreciate everyone to share your perspective. Um, so with inclusivity, right? I read Tyson's Seaburn book, and then, you know, he write about like the inclusive materials in ELT. And then I keep wondering about that because the word inclusivity, how or what or why or how can we define the inclusivity, right? Because it's not only like from one perspective, but also it comes from the collective perspective. And it is the questions that I want to bring to the discussion today. We have a couple of slides, so I'm gonna go slide by slide. What do we mean by inclusivity? In other words, who, what, when, where do we include or exclude in our teaching, writing, and research? So I would love everyone to either you write it out or you can share it out to everyone. Please feel free to unmute yourself and then let us know what you think. What do we mean by inclusivity? In other words, who, what, when, where do we include or exclude in our teaching, writing, and research? Okay, so excuse me if I pronounce incorrectly. Rini say non-native writers. Rini, can you, Rini, are you there?
Yes, yeah.
Can you please elaborate more about that?
Oh, I think that writing in English would
Mhm.
be a struggle for non-native speakers of English. So that's what I meant by inclusivity.
Okay. But can we write, I don't want to use the word code switch, but can we write and then include our language, our home language, and English at the same time in the manuscript or in our writing?
Sure, but I think I'm referring to academic writing, and I'm not sure how appreciated that is.
Okay. Thank you, Rini. What's everyone thinking about Rini just say about non-native English speaker writer?
Can I interrupt, Ethan?
Sure,
Can
go
I
ahead.
propose? Yeah. You know, I teach writing at Queen's College, and I always invite my students to use their home language, and I teach from a translingual and translanguaging perspective, and that means valuing my students' resources at home and what they bring to the classroom and how to incorporate that. And sometimes I do it code meshing. You know, and I always take a translanguaging stance when I teach. And my work is, you know, it's with Vietnamese American youth and trauma, and I teach writing from that stance. So I'm not too familiar with the TESOL word, but I'm in bilingual and multilingual education and multilingual literacy. But I think inclusivity, I think, you know, not using what the values that are dominated by society and imposing it on our students. And so for me, I think that inclusivity is to have strong theoretical stance on writing. And I love what you're doing right now, and how are we co-constructing and co-laboring in this workshop right now, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. How about the other? What do you think? When we say inclusivity, who do we exclude? Who do we exclude in our thinking, in our perspective, in our writing. Okay, so Jing say, I think the classroom structure and the language we used often often contributes to a hierarchy of power and a structure of othering us versus them. Tyson say, anyone who doesn't automatically fit the writing expectation. I think ultimately, critically examining the expectation of writing genre to determine what about that excludes writer outside the power roof from being included in the first place, and making everyone aware, new writer, writing teachers, etc., so that expectation can change. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, I think my point is you can keep things the way they are in terms of writing instruction and the expectations of what you need to be writing like, or you can identify sort of what are the reasons or what are the characteristics of our writing or our writing expectations that are causing people to be excluded in the first place, and try to get rid of them, those expectations, or change those expectations so that we don't have to teach, you know, non-native speakers or people outside of academia how to write for academia. Their writing is by nature acceptable writing on its own, more or less.
Okay, thank you, Tyson. Actually, what you just say remind me of a book that I edited with Luis Benton Herrera. The title of the book is Critical Storytelling, Multilingual Immigrant in the United States. So coming back to the point of, because that book is actually invites the different walks of life of people who work in and out of academia. So I really like the way that, the contributors come to the space and then they share, who they are. And they, there's one of the author who's my student, never consider herself as a writer or a published author, but I invite her because I want to come back to her authentic self, right? Because I want to appreciate and validate her writing inside her, because every one of us is a writer, right? No matter what. But because we have not been inspired or been validated by our writing. So I think that is where my student, actually she contributed a poem in Spanish, and we supported her with the translation. But like the message, the powerful message that she gave as a mother, as an immigrant, changed the way that we think about the publishing and writing. So I think Tyson's mentioned that, and I totally agree with that. So do you want to comment anything before we move on to the next slide? Okay. Then this is a word that I love to talk about. What do we mean by healing? From who? From what? From when? From where? We always keep talking about like, we need to be healed, right? And I was wondering, why do we need to be healed? And what do we mean by healing? Right? I keep thinking about this, the word healing, since I started writing and publishing in academia. And I remember like the first article that I have, I wrote about my mom and about the domestic violence. And it is where I use meditation, Buddhism, and walking meditation in my writing. That is where actually the healing comes from. So I want to ask everyone here in the space and time, what do we mean by healing? From who? From what? From when? From where? Jing say, as human, we all have a lot of pain due to social oppression and interpersonal relationship. Jing, can you please elaborate that more?
I'm just thinking about my own reason to write. So growing up, I always like to write, and but when I came to this country, suddenly I realized I'm being seen as an English language learner, and I don't have language to speak for myself. I kind of lost all the incentive to write, and also I didn't know what to write about, and most importantly, I don't have language to write with. But under this surface level, there are also multiple intersecting, factor that contributed to the pain and our inability to write, to communicate.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jing. I totally relate to that. When you talk about like, we do not have enough language to say or to write, right? I was there. Because sometimes, when I think about the oppression, think about my positionality, think about like the lack of, the language. And sometimes I feel like English does not give me enough platform, does not give me enough space to think across the boundaries of the space and time that I am at. So I wrote a paper called Wei Hương, and Wei Hương is actually translated from, this is a Vietnamese word, means country or homeland. But when I wrote that paper, I'm trying to challenge myself to think and to write in the language that I was born to be with my mom, with my grandma, with the ancestor before me. So that is where I come to understand that, I need to do something to go beyond the Englishness that I'm getting stuck with. Everyone, please comment, John, sharing with us, what do we mean by healing? From who, what, when, and where? Then Todd says, surely stories are among our most powerful ways to healing. Can you please say more a little bit about the power of the story? Todd, if that's okay.
Yes. There is the comment of collective storytelling.
Okay.
And stories are so powerful. They resonate within us. Our brains are wired for stories. Stories are how we find our place in the world and how to be human and our relationship with each other. And the stories can also have the opposite effect if they are narratives. But I'm thinking of stories that we make ourselves and that we tell ourselves and that we tell each other, share with each other. Those are more likely to be healing. I think stories told by others about us or us about others is much more difficult, much more liable to harm or stereotype or othering and said, so, oh, I like that self-liberation through stories. I remember meeting and in talking with storytellers, not that I've talked with so many, but they just the power of what they do and how they can transform. I think a story is more likely to transform than is a, let's say, a scholarly paper.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember that Bell Hooks also mentioned about sharing the stories with the student and how transformative it is, you know, when you share the story and how you pour your emotion and your feeling into the writing. And I think that is beautiful. Ronnie say, healing from when our opinion or what we had to say were not valued. I've been there, to be honest with you, Ronnie. To become healthy again, Ezra say. Sherry say, healing from our ideas about our limitation. Martha said, the need to heal from all of the experiences where through schooling, our writing was formed, reformed, critique, voices, silence. And then Ching Ching said, if healing means getting rid of pain, I'm not sure if I want that. I want to own and claim my pain. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love it. You guys give me goosebumps. Gosh, part of the healing process is introspection to find out the source of our pain. Gosh, I need the, gosh, I love it. It just gives me so much emotion. It's not Tylenol, but I mean, it's not the painkiller. Probably I don't need that, but what I mean is that, you know, looking into the pain and then, you know, live with that and confront it. Yes, means self-liberation. Healing, Paha say, healing from oppressive social and global structure with transformative inclusion. Karina say that process can be also meaningful. Jasmine, that is very revealing add-on, letting go of what we can control. Shauna say, Gazelle say, writing is a medium of communication, conveying a message, and sometimes due to the lack of skills, someone cannot express themselves effectively. And especially in this area, writing and sharing information, as a message can be healing and inspiring. For instance, some posts that people or some professional writers share on social media. Whew. Whew. I need some coffee to calm me down because of the powerful message that you put in here. So thank you for that. Okay, I know we don't have a lot of time. Okay, do you want to comment anything on that before we move to the next slide? Okay, so what do we mean by humanization? From who, what, when, and where? I'm going to give space for you all to think. What do we mean by humanization? Humanize from who? From what? From when? From where? Thank you, Shauna. Humanize from oppressive forces. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more about that, Shauna?
Sure.
Yeah, welcome.
So yeah, I'm just thinking about, you know, when a person or a group of people are dehumanized, it's usually as a result of some type of oppression, you know, or one group or one person exuding power over the other. And so they dehumanize them. And so I think, you know, is, you know, kind of taking off those oppressive forces to
Yes.
better humanize.
And I think that is what, what you just made is actually related to what Todd say in the chat. From dehumanization when one was a child, or today at school, at home, at work, on the street, by a teacher, a classmate, a neighbor, or stranger. Yeah, so dehumanization is part of the process of rehumanization, right? And it comes from the different space and time and different object and subject. Tyson said, making writing less mechanical, yes, or adherence-based, yes, and recognizing, oh gosh, I'm loving it, and recognizing and valuing this human who's writing everything. Okay, and Ching asked the question, is the socialization a dehumanization process? Oh, that is a good question. Anyone want to comment on that? Is the socialization a dehumanization process?
I would like to briefly make a comment on what I think is meant by what Ching said, which is when we talk about socialization, we're talking about a process where sometimes you lose the individual, where people lose their individualism in an attempt to blend them into society. And so, of course, in a lot of ways that could be seen as dehumanizing because it is not accounting for differences and the value of those differences.
Thank you. Thank you. And that is the reason why, Yasmin and everyone in this space, I was thinking about that like a lot about individualism, but I also think about like individual hyphen collective, because, every of us bring the different identity and different like unique perspective. And that's why I want to create this space where the different identity, different perspective come together, not trying to like, I'm trying to like make our pain, our struggles to the front and center so that we can actually think with that. And then we can try to nurture and try to love ourselves again. And I think this is the process that I think everyone is being a part of, right? And I hope that everyone is enjoying so far. This writing process now is humanizing. Usually we are told any question and no questions are actually expected or uttered, or please share your opinion, and many people don't share. But this is what we're doing, right? So that's what I love about this space, because you come from the different spaces and times and background and perspective and genders and sexuality and races and ethnicity and languages, but we come together, right? We just don't, I think the way that we are doing is not only like humanizing, but also decolonizing, the way that we do the workshop or presentation. That is what I'm trying to think about, where everyone is listened to and respected and validated. Karina said, I love your thought, writing as humanization. Shauna said, oh, asking how are you and not expecting a real answer, right? Like we come to the space like, hey, how are you? And then we just move on. But we barely pause and then think and then listen to like, hey, I'm not feeling well today. Or like, because the way that English is taught, like, hey, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you, right? That is how I taught in English. And it's just so structural, it is just so rigid. And it is how, it ignore and it neglect the feeling and emotion of a person, right? So if we can do something differently, we will not teach the student, hey, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you. But we have to teach the student to like pause and respond. Okay. Any comment before we move on? Okay. So think with the process. That is the code that I got from Goli Muhammad, who is my not also friends, but also like my advisor, not advisor, but like professor, but also a thinker and someone who inspired me a lot. So Goli say, we value the writing prompt so much, but it's promptless. The word is the prompt. We all start with ideas to center on identities and self. When I prepare for this presentation, I listen to her. And that is why I have to like put it down, transcribe it so that I put it here. If anyone wants to listen to the conversation that Dr. Muhammad have, I have the link in the PowerPoint, okay? So coming back to thinking with process, I would love to read this paragraph. That is part of my paper. That is it is the first paragraph in the introduction. Okay. It is 12:54 on a Monday morning. My stomach hurts. My mind runs chaotically. I am binge reading articles to start putting words on paper. However, I failed to do so. I am trying to get out of bed to stretch my cramped leg. I cannot move. My mind is paralyzed. I am done with reading for tonight. I have been wrestling with ideas for a month or so. I have reached a level of anxiety that pushed me to turn off my phone. I have juggled other responsibilities placed on me beside this paper. In addition, I see myself neither being competent in writing in a traditional format of a research paper, nor having enough quote-unquote data to write about queer topics in the TESOL field. My mind is being caged, punched, and threatened psychologically with fears of being rejected by the so-called academia. I cannot write anything on me. The path to the academy against conventional, standardized, colonial ways is risky, scary, nerve-wracking, and oftentimes lonely. I published this paper in the Journal of Homosexuality. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that this small introduction can give you some sort of belief that how we can challenge the traditional way of writing an academic paper. Thank you, Karina. So this paper is published in the Journal of Homosexuality. The reason why I use this passage for the presentation today, to think with process, it comes back to the title. Why writing hurts? Because there's so many things inside. The imposter syndrome, I think, or it is not academic enough, not queer enough, not native enough, on all kind of like the process, all kind of the factors embrace me as who I am as the writer. And I want to put it there because, when you read it, you see me, you see my voice, you see my you see my, what is the word? The struggles, right? But you can also see the process, how I stuck and then I moved to the next stage of writing. So I really encourage you to think about that, to think about the process, how you confront the struggle within you. Um, um, okay, can I read a little bit about the chat? Okay, at the university, the expected answer encompass tired, overworked, stressed. The way is the prom, amazing. So Martha said it is when we can bring our identity to writing that is become dehumanizing and painful. Writing is a cultural product. Oh gosh, perfect. We don't have enough time, but I want us to extend a little bit. I would love to borrow some of your time today to co-write with me. Okay, just 15 minutes. I would like you to sit still, take a deep breath, carefully observe the space, time, objects, subjects, spirits, among other things that I do not know how to call. If you have any topic or any idea that you want to write for a long time, that's great. But if you do not have it, that's great as well. But I would like you to write with me in this space and time to explore the process, individual, collectively. So how are you feeling? What are you seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking? Where you are right now, with who, with what in the space and time? And why this writing process relates or does not relate to who you are as a writer, child, human, teacher, researcher, learner. So I'm gonna give 15 minutes for all of us to write together in this space. Okay, let's start it. You can actually write in your computer, in your paper, whatever you feel comfortable. And I want you to, after this activity, we're gonna stick to that writing, okay? So we're gonna finish the activity at 4. Okay, everyone. Let me know when you're ready. if you need 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, please put in the chat. Okay. Okay, so I would love to hear your voice. If you have not spoken up, please do so. But if you want to share, please do so. For some reason, I don't know why I love this picture, so I just put it there. Okay, please.
I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
And I thought about this webinar before we started. It seemed more of another task, or perhaps another tiring event at Friday at 2:45, the time when more likely I think more a fish fry or a beer and a video. I'm tired, fatigued, worn out. And yet, rather it's been, and this is where I ended, like a meditation.
Yeah.
Engaging, listening, getting to hear, sharing. And so, well, yeah, I still, there's a lot of energy I will need to recoup and regenerate over the weekend. But this has been a blessing to close the week with.
Yeah. Thank you. And that is why we need to make this process rehumanize, right? Listen to the body, listen to the voice, listen to the need. And I think that it is the meditation that we all needed. Anyone else, please? Ruth, thank you for saying that. Ruth said, thanks for this Zoom. It inspired me to create a writing space for my students to share their journey. I appreciate you saying that. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, so let me say, okay, let me, if you're from this, would you please replace from with? Okay, so Karina say, if you are from this, what do you replace prompts with? So I think Dr. Muhammad also mentioned that, and she said that, you know, we create, I think that is just like a themes, right? She runs writing retreat for Black girls. And then she asked the student to like think about, you know, the love, think about like the oppression. And then usually for the student who comes to the writing retreat, so they can write anything to express themselves. So I think that is what she shared. So I'm also thinking that if we are from this, what can we do? So I don't have the full answer for this yet, Karina, but I think that is the start where we can think about trying to stay away from using the prompts, but think about how the subject, object, our body is also like a topic to write about or feeling. Tyson say, I think it is useful to realize that at any moment, like in a webinar or in class, we can make space for writing with everyone. Yes, it may not seem like this is the space for it, but it absolutely is. Thank you. Anyone else want to comment before we move on to the next slide? Oh, I'm happy to share mine too. If you don't mind. Okay. I'm feeling so emotional right now. Why do I have to try to restrict or control this emotion where I can laugh, smile, and cry? I'm writing where my puppy is sitting next to me. She's playing on the mattress. We have been chasing together the whole day. But the play helps with my breath, with my anxiety, with my thinking. I'm not a good writer, but I follow and trace the thoughts to the unknown. But in the unknown, I could see myself and come back to ask, why do I have to write? So that is just like a short paragraph that I have. Hopefully I can share with everyone. So before you leave the space, how do you feel now? And I think most of you also respond to that. What can we do after leaving the space and coming back to our own spaces and time? If either of you here want to say something about that, please do. If that is beautiful, we write to find out why we are writing. Mhm. Anyone else? How about this? We unmute ourselves and then, give one word or phrase about how we feel right now. How about that? Okay. Who want to start first? And then we can do the popcorn. Ching Ching, do you want to go first?
Well, I want to form a love. I never know how to do it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ching Ching. Do you want to popcorn to anyone still in the space? Or do you want me to call the name? Okay, let me call the name. Ruth, I saw, yeah.
I would say overjoyed. It almost was cathartic just to listen to other people's story as well as whatever emotion I was feeling. So I kind of feel overjoyed and even emotional. And I think I'm going to spend some time really kind of peeling back the layers why this really got to me. I'm a teacher of elementary students that have come from many different countries, and I'm just trying to figure out how do I give them their voice and give them a way to express how they're feeling in a safe way that honors their first language as well.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Michelle. Okay, go ahead. Who's that? Baha?
somehow this webinar speak, I feel to the power of quietness. There's a lot of empty space, and I just enjoy being in an empty space. Thank you.
Thank you, Ching Ching. Ken or Michelle? I see that you unmuted.
Yeah, I appreciate the excellent questions. I feel very peaceful and thoughtful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Ken?
Thank you. I feel really grateful to be in this space. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Asra or Baha? Okay, Baha, do you want to say something?
Oh, sure. I feel affirmed because since COVID, I had a feeling that writing was important because COVID kind of caused me to, have the time to sit, write. So I started journaling, and then I didn't know the theory behind it, but I was like surprised how therapeutic it was. And then when I started reading up on it and realizing that actually memoir writing, like these things have been used by educators and mental health people as techniques to facilitate well-being and mental health. So yeah, I feel like, you know, it kind of confirms things that I had, you know, the theory, didn't have the theory, but practically I knew. Thank you.
Thank you, Baha. Sherry, I saw that you unmute.
Yes. I feel like happy and calm. And it's been a really stressful week. So this feeling is so lovely to have at the end of the week. And so thank you, and thank everybody for helping to create that space, you know, for me and hopefully for all of us.
Thank you. That is very nice to say that. And I feel the same, very warm, therapeutic, healing. And I can come back to the meaning of the word healing when I asked everyone at the beginning. Anyone else? Tyson, Karina, Catherine, Lady, Abdelali, Ruth, anyone?
I'll say something then. Just,
yeah, please.
I feel, I think, cared for kind of by you in this context, because all the questions were really focused on creating a space that was really thoughtful and concerned and collaborative and stuff like that. And even the writing task that you had us do, while surprising, it caused me to like really think about myself and my surroundings, and that was a nice place to sit with. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Tyson. Karina?
Thank you. If I would happen to have to stick to one word, which is what you said originally, I would say relatedness. And that made me think of relevance. You know, we all want to be relevant. And I also think that I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of doing a better job of drawing in others' opinions and perspectives and getting them to write more. But sometimes you can feel the resistance and you sort of cave in and you're like, okay, next we're gonna do something else. And also I ate 4 Tootsie Pops in the span of like 6 minutes, so.
See, yeah, okay. You never know like how amazing the space around us can give us some joy, you know. I'm glad that you found the, you know, the pop and the candy and all kind of that to cheer you up. And we all need a little candy, a little sweetness, you know. So probably I'm gonna get boba after today. You know, why not? You know, it's weekend. So I'm gonna read something from Todd, because I just want to validate and appreciate Todd thoughtfulness. So Todd say the fullness of emptiness. It has been a very full, empty space. And then Todd says some emptiness is not full, it is empty. But this empty space has been not empty at all. It has been so full of humanity. Gosh, oh, I love it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Todd. Anyone else want to say something before we close off the section? I mean, not the section, but the sharing today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one more time before we leave, okay? This is the quote from Anzadua, the person who inspired me to write. So I put it there for everyone. I write because I am scared of writing, but I am more scared of not writing. That is the quote. And then I use this code in my paper as well. So because through writing and learning and thinking with this process, we come back to see ourselves and relationship to the world. That's it. I'm happy to continue the conversation with everyone. That is my email address, ethandoctrine14@gmail.com. If you want to shoot me an email, I'm happy to continue the conversation. And thank you, everyone. I'm gonna stop sharing and everyone can see my smile and I can see everyone's smiles. Okay, yay, okay, that's good. That's so much joy in this space today. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming in, for sharing your space, for sharing the thinking, and we are, doing the work together. So thank you. Thank you. Have a good weekend though. Have a good weekend and enjoy boba, enjoy coffee, enjoy everything if you need to, okay?
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Abdulali. Thank you, Ezra.